Welcome back to another episode of Cheers PA Beer Talk. I'm your host, as always, Maalik Stark. And today we have a really, really cool guest. Before we get started on that, I'd like to give a special thanks to the PLCB for making this show possible. And look out for new episodes every other Thursday. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at cheers_PA. And without further ado, Devin Smith.
Hey, Maalik.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Pretty okay. Just got done with a brew day, so that's tough.
Yeah. Yep.
It happens.
Yeah, it does.
We want to talk about you and Clarion River Brewing Company. When did you all open?
So the brewery opened in 2015 to the public, and I've been there 8.5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, 8.5. Not all of my time was spent in brewing, though, which is kind of cool. I was front of house. I was bartender, server, whatever needed done out there. And then the opportunity presented itself for me to transition into the brew house.
Yeah, I came from front of house. I was a front of house, like an assistant manager.
Okay.
And that was a little bit of a transition. Was that, I assume it was the same for you, or was that easy to?
It was a big transition, but partially because I was also going back to school.
Okay.
At the same time. So actually, when we decided that we were parting ways with our previous brewer and we needed someone else to step in, we kind of weighed our options of bringing in someone else. But, you know, we're a small brewery and everywhere around us is a pretty small brewery. And then you get into the territory of like, I don't want to step on toes. I don't want to poach anybody because the industry is small, you know? And I was ready to leave my previous, what I thought was my career path. And that happened at the same time our brewer was leaving. And I said, well, I can learn how to make beer. I can be the brewer. So I went back to school at Penn Tech in Williamsport. They have a 1-year brewing and fermentation science program. So I actually went back to school and I was in school 4 days a week, full time, over 2 hours away from my home, my brewery, my family, and then coming back and like brewing on the weekends and handling all of the brewery business on the weekends and then back out to school.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
It was a lot. Yeah. But it was totally worth it. So I graduated in May and fully took over as our head brewer.
Well, congrats on finishing school.
Thanks.
Also. Like that's not easy, especially brewing, I assume. At least whenever you were like working for the brewery and going to school, was that what you were going to school for? Did that help at all? Or was
God, it helped so much. It helped. Like I would sing the praises of this program all day long.
Okay.
You know, we covered everything. It used to be a 2-year program and then it got consolidated into a 1-year program, but a lot of the content stayed. So It is super fast paced. It's super intense. You know, we cover microbiology, we cover biochemistry, we cover hands-on brewing experience, we cover mechanics, we cover it's an all-encompassing brewing program from all angles, and you have 1 year. Not even a full year, it's 2 semesters. So 1 academic year.
Yeah, do you think I've talked to other people who have done that or have done a program like that, and I always ask them, like, is it helpful to already have some brand of background knowledge? Because whenever I started, I was like, I want to learn everything right now. And apparently, and I think I'm leaning more towards that idea, is like getting some experience so you know what they talk about. Like, do you feel the same way, or?
I think having some basic understanding of beer, of the brewing process, of the industry as a whole is helpful. But I just learned so much. Like I knew kind of how to write a recipe, but I didn't know the why behind what I was doing. So like I understood what to do, but I didn't understand the why. And I didn't understand the how does it work. And that's what I took away the most from that program is understanding things on a deeper level aside from just the surface.
Oh, wow. Did they? I don't know. I don't want to go too much more like into this, but like I think that a lot of places that I've like been to just to drink, and I can see like their brew systems and stuff like that. Like, there's no way to know every single one that could ever exist. And like, if you worked on one, or if you've learned on one, and then like you want to start your own or go work somewhere, like I guess you have to like scrap all of that information and then relearn another brew house and
Yes and no,
like
I would say.
okay.
I mean, as long as you are like okay, mechanically minded and you're able
Mhm.
to just, follow the pathways, everything is starting at one point and going to the next point. So as long as you're okay and can follow like, okay, I'm starting here, I'm going to here,
Mhm.
and be able to chart your pathway. It might take some time to get comfortable on a new system. But I think as long as you have that mechanical mind that you can follow the process, you should be able to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't the only brewing experience I had personally was home brewing out of like a 5 gallon kettle. So
Yeah.
going to like pumps and hoses and stuff like that, I was like, this
Uh-huh.
might take me a while. So that was intimidating. But yeah, that is super sick. And where was that at again? You said?
So it's in Williamsport. It's Pennsylvania College of Technology.
Okay.
Or like a Penn State affiliate.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And then you said that what year was it whenever you started brewing itself? Because you said
Last
you all last year? Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
same. I don't
I
even think I hit a
never
year.
worked a day in my life before that.
That's
Never.
that's
I
super
jumped right
impressive.
into school and brewing on a commercial level.
That is very impressive.
It was very intimidating.
Yeah, as it would be.
Yeah.
um, and as far as, did you have any like, I don't want to say help, but like any like, did anybody like show you the ropes? Because I hear a lot about like make sure you have somebody that you can like depend on, and like if you have to pop in questions or inquire about anything, like did you have that person?
I definitely did. Not He wasn't specifically from my brewery, but
Mhm.
he was actually my mentor and the man who runs the program at Penn Tech. He runs their entire brewing and fermentation program, and he teaches all of the classes. And this man has been brewing longer than I've been alive, which is wild to me. But um, he's phenomenal. I can still text him to this day and ask like, "Hey, I have a question. Can we chat?" And he'll troubleshoot with me. He'll help me walk through anything, figure it out, whatever I need.
Oh, that's helpful. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I think
um,
finding a mentor in the industry is a very important thing. Like I've never really considered anyone around me to be a mentor before, uh, and now that I have a person that I do consider a very valuable mentor, um, that's something that I definitely think is very very important in general, but especially in this industry.
yeah, I agree with that. Um, why brewing? Like, did you like beer and you're like, I can make this? Like,
I did, yeah. So
okay.
I had gone to a ton of events and like poured for the brewery for a couple years, and I I really enjoyed craft beer, and the opportunity presented it itself, and said, okay, let's go. Let's make this giant leap of faith.
From that point and to like where you are now, where was there anything that you were worried about as far as making beer that you
All of
shouldn't
it.
have been worried? All of it?
All of it. I second guessed myself a lot. I still do. But I'm very new to the industry. I've been brewing really just over a year, and I'm in a position where at my current brewery, like I'm the one making the calls. I'm the one making decisions, and it all comes down to me. So it feels like a lot of pressure sometimes, but I mean everything's been okay so far. So it I think to me every single brew day and every single batch and every single event that I go through without a problem, without an issue, and with positive feedback is like a little win in my pocket. And it's like a little pat on the back, like, okay, look, you've got this, you can do this, stop worrying.
I feel like that takes a lot to like get to that point, to like really like go you. Like I don't know. When you said like mechanically minded, like I would call myself that, but I still like I'll reach in or reach out to everyone when there's an issue, even if I feel like I can like solve it, just because I'm like, this seems like the right thing to do, but like I don't want that pressure. But
Yeah. Oh, there are definitely still some things that like if it's not right, then I reach out to other people. Like I consider myself enough mechanically minded to be able to do what I have to do.
Mm.
And like if I have a problem with my boiler, which spoiler alert, I do right now, I'm not going to try to fix it. I know there are people. I'm good at what I do. I know there are people that are good at that, and to me, my time is better spent doing something that is in my wheelhouse. And trying to diagnose a mechanical problem isn't necessarily my wheelhouse. Trying to fix a mechanical problem also is not necessarily in my wheelhouse. And there are people that do that day in and day out, and they're really good at it. So there are definitely still things that I'm not going to try on my own. I'm just going to accept it and call someone.
Yeah, I get that. Like I'm
Yeah.
the science part of stuff. I feel like I can learn it and I want to, but that is not like how my brain works whatsoever. Like if it's a problem or something needs to be moved or something needs to be figured out for a reason, I can. Yeah, I had a lot of broken toys growing up because of myself, because I'm like, I can figure this out. And then I can make it work for what I need to get through with. But yeah,
Were you one of the kids that would like tear their things apart to figure out how to put them back together?
yeah, that was 100% me. Yeah. I try not to do that as an adult because things are more expensive, but
Things things are more expensive as an adult. Nobody warns you about that.
yeah. uh you said that like all the decisions are like on you. Like I assume the good part of that is like designing a recipe. Like what is one that like you are 100% like, yeah, I did that. Like that is the most proud. I feel like that's everybody's first one, but I don't know if it is.
So yes and no. I started writing our recipes last summer, but I wasn't like super in depth with them. It was enough to make an all right beer. And then when I started school, I started to learn a lot more about raw materials, about recipe writing. And then the second semester, we have to do what they call a capstone for graduation. And it is writing a recipe, being able to show all of your research and development behind that recipe, being able to talk about each decision that you made, like why you picked this base malt versus this base malt? Why are you using this specialty malt instead of this one? Why are you doing this, this, this? And then you have to brew it. And you have to brew it twice.
Ooh.
And the lab, actually, we had at school a 1-barrel brew house system. So our lab in our science building was a little brewery, which was awesome. So we had a lot of hands-on brewing experience, but we had to brew our beer twice. And the first one, after it was done, you basically got to make a call on, do I want to change anything? And if so, what do I want to change? And what am I going to do to achieve that change that I want? Or do I like how it turned out? And do I want to just try to replicate this and make a consistent beer? So I actually teamed up with, there was one other woman in my class, and we teamed up to collaborate on our capstone beer. And we scaled our recipe up for the second batch and actually brewed it at my brewery in Clarion, which was very cool. And it was like an American IPA with rosemary.
Oh, wow.
And to me, that is like, I'm so proud of that beer. One, because it's so weird. Like nobody who, I know people have done it, but not every brewer is going to go, hey, I really want to put rosemary in a beer. And actually, when I told my husband, who is one of the co-owners at the brewery, that that was what I wanted to do for my capstone, he kind of gave me a really funny look and was like, are you sure that's what you want to do? It's like, yeah, I am. I'm positive, absolutely positive. And it turned out really, really well. So I'm very happy with that beer. I got a lot of positive feedback on it. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, good. And you also make that, right? Like, is that what you said?
No, we made it in, I think April was when we brewed it, and then we just sold the last of our cans. Like, it is done. I might make it again in the future just because I'm gonna miss it, but I might bring it back in a couple of years. We'll see.
Make it more than once. Like, I don't know, make it a summer thing. Like, then people will look forward to it. And
we also learned that that beer makes a really good beer bread.
Oh,
yeah,
that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that I understand like hops and stuff way more, like I am super interested in like, all right, so
dude, hops are so much fun. They're fun.
Yeah, I don't understand them fully because I don't know whether or not which ones are good for what stage in brewing or dry hopping and all of that. And I don't know. I feel like the beers I like to drink don't have a whole lot to do with hops. So like I don't complain about it, but that is one of those things I want to get better at.
What do you like to drink? What's your wheelhouse there?
Stouts typically, almost exclusively, but
okay.
Yeah, it's coming around that time. Yeah, I know. Granted, I will drink them year round all the time. I don't care if I'm sweating. Like, I'll still drink one. May have to not move around a whole lot, but yeah, I'm still fine with it. What is one of those things that like you like in not just in brewing in this last year, but your experience with beer in general, like as far as excited about like different styles, what you're seeing a lot of different places do with beer, or I don't know, like trends? Because I ask people this, and everybody has almost a similar answer, but different ones at the same time.
What I am most excited about with beer in general right now is seeing traditional styles really make a comeback. Okay. I am a sucker for just like a solid German Pilsner or a Czech Pils, or I love British ales, and seeing a lot of the traditional styles really starting to make a strong comeback and be seen in more breweries.
Hmm.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I don't ever want them to go away again. I want them to stay.
I, I get that. I can't remember who it was specifically that I asked that question, and they said, I feel like the same exact thing. And I don't know. I don't know. You said like British style beers is
Give
what
me a
you,
solid British brown ale, and I am
okay.
so happy. So happy.
Is that like similar or like in the same family as like a Scotch ale?
Not quite. So
Okay.
a Scotch ale is going to be a lot more similar to like a barley wine.
Okay. Yeah, those and dark milds are pretty close from what I've been reading in the same book everybody has about designing and writing recipes. Um, yeah. Okay. I don't know a whole lot of like I brew for Zero to End. We don't do a lot of like I guess traditional stuff like on the nose, but I have seen those at a lot of places and I hadn't disliked a single one that I've had yet.
Yeah.
So to the brewery though, where are you all again? I know we had talked before about like
So
location
we
wise.
are about an hour and a half northeast of Pittsburgh.
And
So like
that's it.
kind of halfway between Pittsburgh and Erie.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Is that I don't want to ask this in like a dumb way, but is that closer to like State College from the eastern part? Not really, still the
No,
turnpike.
it's still, so I would actually take Interstate 80 instead of the Turnpike because I'm so far north. Our brewery is 4 miles off of Interstate 80.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm still like an hour and a half from State College. It's a cool area because we're like an hour and a half from everything. We're an hour and a half from Pittsburgh, from State College, about 2 hours to Erie, and 2 hours out to like Cleveland area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So day trips are fun. They're pretty easy in any direction.
Oh, yeah, when you're close to all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, so what does like Clarion River Brewing like all I'm sure you all do a lot of stuff like a lot of
We do.
breweries do.
My goal as a brewer is, and I know not all brewers take this stance, which is fine. If you find your niche and you do that niche well, that's great. I love seeing people that can do that. But you see that a lot more in urban areas. And I'm in a very rural area. So I can't cut it out like that, unfortunately. So I have to have a beer on my board for every type of beer drinker that walks in. My tap lineup has to be diverse, and I have to be able to have something for everyone who walks through that door.
But that should be the goal, right?
Yes and no. Like I said, I
Okay.
love seeing when a brewer can cut out their niche and they can do it well and they can actually make a living doing that.
Mhm.
Like if you find your niche is German lagers and the clientele and the consumer base is there to support it, that's fantastic. But not everywhere is going to have that consumer base,
Yeah.
especially rural areas. It's not gonna not and it's not gonna work in a rural area. Just there's not enough consumer base in general to support a ton of breweries, but then you add in breweries that are doing their niche thing in a rural area, and it's just I don't think it's a feasible thing.
Yeah. I mean, that only makes sense. Like if there's like you might think that this is your thing, but if nobody is around that feels that same
Right.
way. Like obviously, like that's a thing.
Right. And like we see the niche breweries, but like I said, they're for the most part in urban city areas. Like in Pittsburgh, one of my favorite breweries in Pittsburgh is Golden Age.
Mm.
Golden Age is super traditional lager styles, but they're in a city and they have the clientele to support them. Same with Human Robot. Human Robot's killing it. They have the clientele, they have the consumer base, they have the population to support it.
Yeah.
Which I
Yeah,
love to
that's
see. Good for, like, great. Good for them. I love seeing them kill it.
yeah. I mean, that's super fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
So for
you.
me, I'm just trying to make sure that everyone that walks through my door can find something that they want to drink.
That's fair. I don't ever like when I think about like beer. I don't know. Maybe I'm too green to the brewing to like feel a certain way or feel like, oh yeah, this is the style that we or I make really good. Like I'm still in that phase of I just want to make good beer. I want people to like whatever I have a hand in. So like as far as like having an idea about that, I guess I really don't. But I know that people, like a lot of places and brewers do like feel that way about,
Yeah.
yeah, do what you do good.
Right. And I think a lot of it is brewers finding what they're passionate about and doing that very well.
That's fair. I mean, I guess that would suck. Like I like stouts, and if I am super passionate about it and everyone I make is trash, like
Yeah.
yeah, that would get me out of it.
Yeah.
But
For sure.
sure. I won't hold you up anymore. I really appreciate you hopping on this podcast. So like that's amazing. Awesome. Can't wait to try some beer from you all soon.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to try to make it out your way soon. I want to head out. I don't make it out that direction very often.
Yeah, I can't say that I go out towards Pittsburgh or Erie very often, but I don't know.
Pennsylvania's a big state.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much. This has
Absolutely.
been
Thank you for
super
having
awesome.
me.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, check out new episodes every other Thursday. And cheers. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.